We are Gathering of the Geeks, a podcast and YouTube show built around the things we as geeks all love. Hashtag We Gather on Sundays. Thank you for checking out the one where the cheese grater just won't cut it. I'm one of your hosts, Emmet. I'm joined by the Ted Lasso and my coach Beard, Chris Evans. Chris, how you doing?
Swell. How are you doing?
Good. Gathering of the Geeks. It's available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Just search for Gathering of the Geeks, and you'll find us right there. What's up to Eric and Phil already on this fine Sunday evening? Chris, I know you love Danhausen, but how many minutes/hours of AEW had you actually watched before last night?
It's a good question. I don't know because I watched more of the earlier stuff, like before they started accumulating a lot of people.
Right.
But I've watched some of it.
So we watched. Yeah. What did we watch? We watched Full Gear last night, the pay-per-view for AEW, and I realized, I think it was this morning, that I hadn't watched a single minute of live AEW before.
Oh, really?
Last night. I'd watched clips and read like match reports and all that kind of stuff. But I'm thinking maybe it's because AEW is on weird nights. Like what's their Dynamite's on Wednesday or something?
Yeah, it's on Wednesday.
Yeah, something happens on Wednesday where I can't do it. Maybe I just like
happens.
WWE. Yeah, I like WWE's time slots better, Monday and Friday. And I realized like 50% of the matches I had no idea who these people were, and 90% of the matches I knew who these people were, but I hadn't seen them wrestle before. Like that, what's that one guy who sticks his hands in his pockets and kicks people?
Oh,
what's
yeah, Orange Cassidy.
Orange Cassidy. He had a match with John Moxley, and I'd seen Moxley before, and I'd only seen Orange Cassidy with his hands in his pockets kicking people. So I'm like, oh, I didn't think he did anything else. I thought that was his entire gimmick for 20 minutes match. But yeah, he's pretty good. It was a good match all around that time. So I learned a whole bunch of new things yesterday watching a full 4 hours of AEW Full Gear.
Did not know it was that long, but it was fun.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to go until midnight.
I wasn't either.
I like the little timestamp thing comes up in the corner of anything that's ending, like 2024 or whatever. Like as soon as that came on, I was like, okay, guys, see you later.
It was a quick goodbye.
I didn't know if there was anything after that. I didn't want to watch the post match press conference. It's like, oh man, it's midnight. I'm going to bed.
Is it called the Irish goodbye when you just leave somewhere?
Like I do that all the time. Like I had a work thing.
I do it too.
We went to Niagara Falls a couple of weeks ago for a work thing, and we went to Margaritaville.
I didn't know you guys had one of those up there.
Yeah, Jimmy Buffett, whatever. So everyone's there, and it's 11:30 at night. Everyone orders a drink. I just get up and leave, and I don't say goodbye. I don't do anything. And you get the messages, and like people's like, "Are you okay, man?" Like, I just left. I just went home. I just went back to my room. And what you say they call it, an Irish goodbye, Chris? That's good.
I think that's what they're called, Irish goodbyes, when you just leave.
Yeah.
I've done that before, but I at least tell one person, like usually the host of whatever I'm there for. Hey, I'm gonna go. See you later. Everybody else, they get the idea. I just left.
Yeah. Or I've done that. I'm going to the washroom, and then I go, and I never come back.
That's kind of terrible, though, because then people say, "Is he okay in there?"
Yeah, is he all right in there?
Yeah. What did he eat or drink?
Yeah, that's right. He's stuck on the toilet for 25 minutes, and you wonder where the hell did he go?
Yeah, you just don't know when somebody says, "I'm going to the restroom, the washroom, the loo, if you will." Then you just disappear.
Yeah,
reminds me of
goodbyes.
Reminds me of those episodes of Big Bang Theory when Raj's girlfriend Lucy kept leaving through the restroom windows.
Yeah, that's right. You see her walk by outside.
Yeah, those are good. He says Irish goodbyes are my favorite. They're awesome and they save so much time. Because if you think about it, if you go one by one to people, you're going to be there for long.
Yeah. Like I'm terrible at small talk on the best of days. So when you have to like say goodbye to somebody, like that's even more awkward to me. It's better for me just to fade off and like Homer Simpson into the hedges. Like I was never even there and just I'm gone. I was never there and goodbye.
It's kind of harder though when like if you leave in the middle of something.
That's true.
even then, I mean, you could still just disappear, but you do get more texts and phone calls. Hey, where did you go?
Yeah. See, that's the awkward point. Do you stay and say hello and be awkward, or do you wait for the text messages later and be awkward? There's no good time to say goodbye awkwardly.
No, but to be fair, as soon as the timestamp came up last night, I knew you were done. I think you checked out like an hour before that.
Yeah.
so
Well,
so I already knew what was happening.
okay.
I don't know if Zeddy knew.
That's good. You were reading the body language. That's good.
We are familiar. Eric says, I'm surprised we haven't seen Bruce Wayne or Clark Kent pull that excuse to change the Batman or Superman. Technically, we have, actually. I mean, Dark Knight, Bruce just disappears as far as everybody else knows.
Yeah.
Like in the penthouse, he just goes in the panic room and leaves them to die.
Yeah.
And only 2 people even know that. Everybody else just thinks, oh, Bruce left.
Yeah.
And Clark, of course, finds any phone booth he can.
Any phone booth he can, yeah. Anytime Jimmy turns around, he's just gone.
Poor Jimmy, one of the dumbest characters in all of the DC universe.
Yeah.
Cannot figure it out. Who is Superman? My friend Clark? No way.
Yeah.
Where is Clark?
Clark who?
He said getting to hang with Chris and Emmet virtually for 4 hours last night was worth the 50. I don't know about that.
I'd say last night's pay-per-view was worth $50.
Mm-hmm.
I think there were some good matches.
Yeah, it was a good time. Good times.
All right, Chris, what'd you get up to this past week? What did you read and what did you watch?
Well, I hope I could remember everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because
now your letterbox for. Use your letterbox.
I'm trying not to tonight. I'm trying not to.
I tried that a couple weeks ago. Going off script, it never works.
What script? You have a script? So the reads actually is pretty simple. I read the new Blade issue of Blade number 5. It's really fun. So if anybody has any interest in the character or you enjoy the movies, I think you will love the new Blade book from Brian Edward Hill. It feels like a cinematic experience, and the art, the art is really cool. And like the way the fights and the action work in the comic, it's very easy to follow and kind of put together. So that's cool. And it's just a neat story. I really like the new Blade book a lot. We're 5 issues in. This is the end of the first arc. So this is actually a pretty good jumping on point if anybody wants to. And some cool stuff is about to happen. I'm not going to spoil the ending in case someone does read it, but 5 has a pretty interesting thing at the end.
I remember when I read number 1, and I think you were talking about number 1 as well. The action felt like a movie. Like it felt very big. Mm-hmm. Is the action still like that carried out through the next 4 issues? That's good. Yeah,
there's actually, I don't know what it is with superheroes and trains, but there's one issue that takes place primarily on a train with a lot of action, and it's just fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good time. There's some cameos here and there,
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I recommend Blade.
Thanks.
Phil says Thanksgiving wins horror 2023. We're going to get to that because I'm kind of shocked about that one. But so I read that. I did read The Deviant, which I know we're both going to talk about. I read Lotus Land, which we'll get to also. And I actually got into Tom King's Wonder Woman run this week. That I was not expecting to enjoy as much as I did. I don't think I've really read a lot of Wonder Woman before. Mm-hmm. Mostly just like Justice League type books or the bigger stories, So this, I think, was my first solo Diana book. And I really enjoyed it. It was unexpected. The art is beautiful. The story is interesting. And the way it's framed is a little different than most comics would be. It's mostly entirely narration, but not from Diana herself. It's from the villain, which is pretty unique. Mm-hmm. You don't often hear the villain doing the story, So I like that a lot. Again, the art is spectacular. The writing is really good. It's what you'd expect. So good stuff.
Yeah. I love Daniel Sampere. I think is the artist.
That sounds fancy. It could be.
Yeah, I love the way they draw superheroes. Like I think they were on Justice League book before, if I remember correctly. And I know that they've done some Superman as well. It's just like if you close your eyes and you think what a superhero should look like, they draw them just like that. Like
Yes.
they just everything about them is just a perfection. So yeah, I love the book as well. I'm way behind. I only read issue number 1 so far. I think there's only 2 issues there, so I still have.
I read them on the DC Infinite app.
Oh, nice. So I'm looking forward to keep up with that. But yeah, I think it's the first issue that I read, whatever that was, 2 months ago or whatever.
Yeah, it's been 2 months.
Yeah, was outstanding.
You know, it's the comment you made about the art is interesting to me because it's kind of like I feel like most artists either go extremely cartoony these days or they try to ape Alex Ross.
Right.
It's kind of like one or the other lately. And there's very few that I think fall in that middle portion. Like I think Dan Mora is in that group. I would put this artist in that same group. They're a great middle ground between the cartoony and the realistic. So all for it. Got some comments. Frank says Blade is Heat, my favorite Marvel book by far. It is really good. I'd still say Moon Knight's my favorite book from them currently, but Blade is a really close second. It's great. Ian's here. He's Christmas shopping. Okay, that's fun.
Good luck.
Blade was waiting for a train. That's how the story starts, kind of. Hey, Lauren. Ronan says he's also loving the Tom King Wonder Woman run. It's so good.
Nice.
Why is it always Alex Ross? Because he's awesome.
Yep.
Him and Bermejo, I think, when you talk about realistic art, to me, they're at the top of the pile. And I think I even prefer Bermejo at this point.
Well, yes.
But they're both beautiful. So those were the separate reads I read. We'll talk about the other two when you get to them. As far as the watches, I do need my letterbox. I'm sorry. I was thinking I do need it. I watched Blade 2 because I'm just kind of in a Blade mood. So I watched that. That's kind of fun, I guess. I don't know. I like the first one better. I like the first one. I don't like Reapers.
Yeah, I have such a hard time with the second one. But
Really?
the first one's good stuff, yeah. I don't know. It's just too much. Too much cheese.
It's a lot. And I don't really care for the Blood Pack, the group of the Hunter people. Don't really care for them.
Yeah.
But I do like Blade in it, of course. I like the action. It's got good stuff, but not my favorite thing. And then, I don't know, I've been wanting to rewatch The Mask with Jim Carrey.
Sure.
When was the last time you saw that movie? If you have.
Yeah, all the way through? A long time ago.
I don't think I've seen it since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like maybe 10 years old or so. I don't know. So I think I had this really fond memory, like this is the Dark Knight of comedy. I don't know. I just had this really nice memory of it, I suppose.
All right.
So, when I watched it the other night, as the credits were rolling, I think I said out loud, that was kind of shit.
Yep.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
It's still kind of fun because it's Jim Carrey, of course.
Right.
But it is a whole other beast. I don't know.
I'm trying to think of my favorite part in that movie. It might be the one like in the park when they're in the park and they ask him to freeze and he literally freezes and then he starts doing like weird acting, like different roles.
The whole dance sequence.
Yeah, the dance sequence. Oh yeah, that leads right into the dance sequence, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it's a strange one. It's just Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey,
which is fine. I'm all for that usually. It just I think I just had such a fond memory of it that. Don't rewatch movies you love, kids.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. We've talked about that. It's better just to think that you like something from 15, 20 years ago than it is to rewatch it and realize that you don't like it.
Yes. But and the other side of that is I'm kind of surprised that we haven't seen a proper adaptation of The Mask at this point.
Right.
Considering the comic is very different from the movie. He's a lot darker. He's more violent. It seems like it's fit for today's theatrical tastes, I would say.
There was a cartoon too. Did you watch the cartoon?
I did watch the cartoon.
Yeah,
I was a big fan. There was also the game that was fun. The Mask was a big deal for me as a kid.
Nice.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. You
No,
ruined your childhood.
no, I didn't ruin my childhood. Just don't need to watch it again. I also watched The Killer. Do you want to talk about that now?
We can talk about it any which way you want to here. I don't really care. What do you want?
Let's do The Killer.
Let's go for it.
Okay, so I like this a lot. Did you?
Okay. I didn't like it a lot. I don't know how to describe it. It ended. I'm like, okay, that was okay. I'm trying to think of I'm going to talk about something in my watches that made me feel something. I'm not sure The Killer made me feel anything.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I cared about Michael Fassbender's The Killer. I'm not sure I cared about his whole mission that he was on because of, his girlfriend or whoever it is that we don't know. I have no idea who this person is. I don't know anything about their relationship together. I don't know anything about The Killer, Michael Fassbender's The Killer at all, to be invested in him in any way, but the movie looked great. It sounded great. I think the sound is probably my favorite part in the whole movie, actually.
I love the Smiths as a soundtrack.
Yeah, the soundtrack, the big major fight scene that he has in the house. I love the way it sounds. I love the way they use music. For like a POV where he's listening to something in his ear, and when you're looking at him, you can hear the music. But then when you get like an establishing shot or something outside of what he's looking at, the music like lowers because everything is through his point of view, including what you're hearing. So I like the technical aspects of the movie, which is great because I think Fincher is one of the best technical directors that we have. Everything he does looks really good. But as for the story, I'm not sure that it really interested me from start to finish.
Stick to the plan. Don't improvise. A fun fact about the sound with the music, if you watch the movie with headphones on, you will hear the way he does.
That's
which is kind of that's I thought that was a cool detail that probably not many will take them up on, I would imagine. But I think I liked it more than you did. I did like the story. I like the ambiguous nature of the killer. It makes him like there's no we don't have to be sympathetic toward him because we know nothing about him. As far as we know, he is just a cold-blooded killer who likes Egg McMuffins. That's really all they show us, and that's fine with me. My thing with it is that it felt kind of like American Psycho in a way. And I think the narration in parts was a bit much. Like the first 12 minutes is really just him narrating, and we watch him live a day in his life. And it's not that interesting. Because during that first 12, it's like, okay, well, this is something. This is not what I thought. I mean, I wasn't expecting like Gross Point Blank or Assassins with Antonio Banderas and Sylvester Stallone. But I kind of want to watch that. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere. That is a great film. But I enjoyed this too. I like the story of it. I like the action too. But I think what stood out the most to me was just Fassbender. I thought he was great in this. To me, he doesn't miss though. Even when the movie's not that good, I think he still shines, which is always a plus. And I really like the thing with Tilda Swinton.
Yeah, that was a pretty specifically because he sits down and literally says nothing for 5 minutes or whatever while she does her little speech. Again, I love the sound in that scene. Like every time the door of the kitchen opens, there's the rattling of dishes and cups and glasses and everything. I just, technically speaking, I love the movie that way. I just had a really hard time with the character. I love Michael Fassbender as well, and this is very different for him, how composed he is.
Yes.
A lot like the way his narration explains it to be. In a lot of his other movies, even his, big blockbuster movies like X-Men or whatever, he's always yelling and screaming and, doing the soapbox grandstanding villain type of thing, which I'm not down for. And he's done that in other movies, which I'm okay with, specifically 12 Years a Slave, where he's, very grandstandy-ish.
I just forget he's in that.
Yeah. But yeah, this one he's very calm, cool. I like all the kind of cool stuff that he does, specifically when he breaks into the guy's apartment where he buys the thing on Amazon, and
that was cool.
Like everything moves very fluid, in an action-packed calm sense. Like there's the downtime is him, on a plane or in a rental
Eating
car.
a McMuffin.
Yeah, but like he's always on to his next thing and always doing his next thing. I like the chapters as well. I thought that was
I did
kind of
too.
a cool little thing, which is interesting. There's like 6 chapters in an under 2-hour movie. Uh, it's very, very
It
different.
moves kind of fast after you get past that first 15 minutes.
Yeah, and I was very surprised about the length of the movie. Under 2 hours. It moves at quite the brisk pace.
I expect it to be 3 hours for some reason. I don't know why. Frank says, I'm not sure if that was the girlfriend, just a friend. They showed very little affection. I just kind of took it as that's his wife. Because
That's what
there's a
I'm not
line
sure
from
about.
the brother where it says, you've always been good to my sister. And they seem to have a relationship, him and the brother. Like they know each other. So I'm assuming it's his wife.
Yep.
And I kind of like that they didn't give us a lot of details about her or what happened. Because I think at some point these kind of, well, any film really, it gets gratuitous and gross.
Yeah, it was very much a stylistic and story choice that we didn't know anything about these two people. We didn't see what happened to her. That what happened to her wasn't, overly described or anything like that. It's just straight up, he gets there and she's not looking too good, and he goes about his way. So, like stylistically and story wise, I understood the choice, but I'm not sure that those choices did it for me all
That's
around.
fair.
Yeah.
Frank says Fassman would be a great Lex Luthor. Yes, he would. I like that. I like that a lot. Ian says it started great, but became a bit simple. A bit of a simple revenge story. Is more about the character and style cinematography, but I agree with Emmet. There wasn't much to it. Yeah, it really is just a simple revenge movie under the kind of I want to say the banner of it's a David Fincher film, so expect more.
Sure.
But it is just a revenge flick, which I enjoy. I think that's one of surprised that might be one of my favorite genres. Just revenge. It's easy.
And it's also different, like in a revenge way, because I'm trying to think of other revenge movies. I think about The Crow.
That's what I was thinking. The John
for
Wick
one specifically stands out, or John Wick. But then that's the emotional beat that I got from those movies that I didn't get from this one. And like John Wick's a great example of how it does work when you don't know much about the characters. Like you basically you never see, a dog. The dog's in it for a couple of minutes. John Wick's past, we don't know much about his past. We just kind of hear little bits about it from exposition and stuff like that. And in general, I don't really care that John Wick's dog died.
You're
I'm
horrible.
not exactly. I'm not.
You are
I'm
the
not
devil in the
invested
flesh.
yeah. I'm not invested in his dog, but the way that the movie plays out with its action and everything, that's what gets me excited. And in this sense, where I don't really care about Michael Fassbender's wife or girlfriend or whatever it is, I still enjoyed his revenge tale. But it was just something about the emotional attachment that I didn't have to the characters in this one.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Zeddy's comment was funny. My life is a revenge movie. I think that's all on The Killer.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. You just liked it.
I just liked it. Yeah. That's probably fair.
What did you read?
Aside from The Deviant, I went back and read Batman 139.
Oh, yeah.
It was just announced, I think it was just this week, about the Joker Year One story that Zdarsky and crew are doing for issues in February.
Yeah, they were going to be weekly.
Yeah, which is quite different for Batman right now. So I haven't read Batman since the ending of Failsafe. I think I read the first issue after Failsafe when Bruce goes to this a different dimension or whatever it is, and that turned me off of it. Yeah, so then I stopped after that and decided now I thought was a good time to go back because it's a Joker story for 139 and they're building towards something with Joker. I also saw that Jorge Jimenez is back on art again for 139. I think he was off for a bit, if I remember correctly. I know he was for the issues right after Failsafe. I know it wasn't Jimenez then. So anyways, I'm glad Jimenez is back on because I think this issue 139, it looks incredible. I think it's some of the best stuff that he's done on Batman. I messaged you about it, and you messaged me about it. That I'm not really sure what's going on. There's some characters that aren't in it anymore. Some of the narration that Bruce gives, I'm not really sure. But I'm hoping that I can either pick some of that stuff up by reading about some past issues, or they'll tell us what happens going forward. But I liked 139. I thought it was an interesting issue. They're still not giving up on the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh. It seems like especially by the end of this issue, they're doubling down on the Batmen of Zur-En-Arrh, which is kind of an interesting, cool thing, I think. Some of the different Batmen is kind of an interesting idea.
I like the idea that Batman is crazy. I think that's something they've, over the years, it's been touched on. They've played with the idea. We've seen it in movies, sort of, where he, you kind of wonder, is he just as crazy as his villains sometimes?
Right.
And there's even a joke about it. I think it begins at the hotel when we're talking about a man like that has issues or something. So right. I like to see. I'm liking that they're letting that play out in comics a little bit, even if I don't like the Zur-En-Arrh thing.
Yeah.
It's a strange concept, but I also like the way it's being handled, I suppose. It's like on paper, not my thing, but when I actually read it, I like it. Does that make sense?
I would agree with that. This newest issue, I don't fully know what's happening with Bruce and what has happened to him in the last, the previous 5 or 6 issues, but I'm interested to see where it's headed with these Batmen and leading up to this Joker year 1 story, which I don't know if you want to talk about that real quick. Another Joker story, year 1 story. So I think they're actually going to be blending some of 3 Jokers, Batman 3 Joker stuff into this. We've got different artists on the book. We've got Giuseppe Camicoli, apologies for some of it, and then also yeah, that's right. And then Andrea Sorrentino is also listed as the artist on. So Sorrentino is one of my favorite artists. I love the way they draw Batman. So I'm interested. But I think you're more of a Joker fan than I am. And I like to think that there is sometimes can be too much Joker, and I'm okay with Joker taking a break. But then if there's ever a Joker story, it feels like we just have to read it. But what are your thoughts on a Joker year 1 story?
I think you kind of nailed it there. A lot of fans, myself included, will say, I think we've had enough Joker. But at the end of the day, whenever I see him coming up in something, I run to it. Like, I even read the Tynion Joker story, and how at that time I wasn't high on Tynion at all. But I had to read that book. And I'm also with Phil here. At the end of the day, can't have enough Joker. Keep sending in the clown. The clown is entertaining. And it's also fascinating to see the different spins each writer puts on the character, because just in the last few years, we've seen him become like a god, like we talked about, like a godlike character in a way.
Yep.
And then we've also seen him become the 3 Jokers concept, where he's this ultimate mastermind cloning himself. We've even seen the Scott Snyder version where he's an immortal being, essentially. So it's cool to keep seeing these different versions. And with Chip's version, I'm really excited because I think his is going to be really dark and just a whole lot of fun. Like just little glimpses that we've had so far. Like that panel where it's the Joker's eye looking through the boards. Yep. That is amazing. Frank says Chip's run will be judged by the ending of the Batman Zur-En-Arrh story. It's clear that's his main plan. Chip is taking a big swing. He really is. I think. Yeah. I think most major writers have taken some kind of swing that they're judged on. Like Snyder, I think is judged on the Court of Owls. He integrated them, and that was like a make or break thing. King is Batcat. That's what it is. Right. Tynion is whatever that was. I don't really know what would be considered a swing. Probably taking all the maybe it was the money thing. That's probably what it is. So that is Chips. I do agree. Yep. Eric says, I kind of want to see King's Joker Year One story from Brave and the Bold released on its own. I thought that, yeah, I'd like to see that too, like collected, but I don't think it's done yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was too after the toilet issue. But there is one more issue. I think I saw Garrett say that he's working on the final part of it.
Yeah,
so.
I'm excited to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Who wins in a fight, Pennywise or the Joker? Not Georgie. It's very telling that Chip and DC reference Justice League 50 and not John's Three Jokers. I read somewhere though that they might touch on, or they're going to touch on the Three Jokers thing, because now that's kind of being treated as sort of canon, I believe.
Well, that's why I thought they didn't reference Three Jokers, is because it's not canon. But Justice League 50 is in canon, so that it's a tricky thing with that Three Jokers. So I don't know how it's going to work.
It's a complicated story that I don't know that needs to be integrated into canon.
Yeah, I don't think it does.
I don't think it does either. But if they do it, fine. Just some of the details, I don't feel like they fit properly. Like, not just the book is a couple years old now, so I think we could freely speak about it. I think we can spoil it, Chris. Yeah. I mean, Batman knowing the identity of the Joker this whole time, and the Joker having a secret family. I don't know how that really gels with what we've seen. Yeah. But whatever they do, I'm in. It's the Joker. Send in the clown.
Send in the clowns.
Give me more Joker, as long as it's good Joker.
That's right.
I'll even take shitty Joker, though. I've read shitty Joker before.
We've read shitty Joker for sure.
Yeah. I forgot, there's actually one of my least favorite comics ever made was a Joker story. I can't remember the name of it. It's like Joker thought he had cancer.
Oh.
What was that book called?
Yeah, what was that?
I don't remember, but I hate that book. I just don't like it. What else did you read?
I read Transformers #2 from a couple weeks ago.
I like that.
I liked it again. There's a really funny page, right? It's the first page of the book where Optimus is like kind of looking out at a landscape, trying to, understand Earth in a way. So he kind of goes for a little walk or whatever, and he steps on a deer and crushes and kills a deer, which is kind of really strange. But then the human in the story, his name's Spike, kind of comes up and explains, and then Optimus explains why Earth is so different from what the hell's the Transformers homeworld called? Cybertron. Cybertron's made out of metal, blah, blah, blah. And Optimus is confused by the Earth that's, squishy and all that kind of jazz. It was just kind of a weird thing that Optimus just kills a deer by stepping on him. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. But then the action starts up again, and some more human moments start happening. There wasn't as many Transformers in issue #2 that there was in the first issue, where we had the issues of trying to understand who the hell's that guy, and that guy just looks like the other guy. So I'm still very much into it. I'm glad I got around to reading the second issue. So I read that, and that was pretty much it for my reads. Aside from The Deviant, from James Tynan and Josh Hickson, I believe, on art. When this book was announced and the description of the book came out, I was incredibly worried about the subject material of this book, because it talked about I forget what it was, something about violence towards young men. And I was like, okay, if this is somehow with sexual assault, rape of boys or men in some way, I'm not going to dig this. I don't want to feel that kind of uncomfortable in a comic book. I understand. I'm fully into those kind of issues, or not into them, but I think I can handle them. And I do find, in different types of medium where those stories are told, I still, I can enjoy the movie or TV show or comic book or book or whatever that is. But there was something about The Deviant that creeped me out a lot. And I knew that I was going to be creeped out going into it. And as I was reading the book, I was creeped out, beyond creeped out. And that's where it lies for me, is not in the visuals of the book. where we do see some horrible things. But it's the description of this killer who's describing things and talking about things in a certain way that made me uncomfortable, in the way that I figured I was going to be uncomfortable when it's talking about the abuse, violence of young men or young boys in a certain way. So I guess in turn, like, the book has done what it was supposed to do. I think this book is supposed to be creepy. It's supposed to make you feel a certain way. So aside from, like, it's only what's that scene where the main character is talking to the guy in jail? It's like 5 pages maybe.
Yeah, it's something like that.
In a 25 or 30 issue book. So in those 5 pages, it made me feel a little uncomfortable. All the other stuff, the straight horror stuff, Santa with an axe, all that kind of stuff, the mystery of what's happening, I loved all that stuff. And I think the book looks incredible. I love this style of art. I really dig it. I love the setting, Christmas time. So that helps with colors, Christmas lights, snow, all that good stuff. For me, the book creeped me out, and at certain times it did make me uncomfortable, but I did find that I enjoyed a lot of the book all around. What'd you think?
I think I might be with Ian here. The Deviant is the comic of the week. Also, we learned something about Emmet today.
Slight slip of the tongue.
A little bit. We are alive.
That's right.
I think I'm a heathen because I wasn't that creeped out by this.
Yeah, that's fine.
I thought that, it is creepy, but I wasn't I didn't feel like it was any kind of new territory, I suppose. But that said,
right about that. None of it is new. Like, none of it's new in any kind of form.
No, but that doesn't make it bad at all. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought it was I think it's a great story. It's off to a good start. I really do like the art. When this was announced, you told me about it. I was like, I don't know if I want to read that. But it wasn't because of the creepy and the violence. I was like, I don't know if Christmas horror, not really my thing, maybe.
Right.
But I guess that is my thing. I think it might actually be my thing.
I guess so.
It's funny how that works. A whole Christmas horror never hurt nobody, I suppose. But I like the way the story unfolds, and I actually I think my favorite parts of the book are the prison scenes. I enjoy kind of the Hannibal Lecter, or maybe it's more like a Jeffrey Dahmer kind of thing. And I like how the inmate clearly is a terrible person, but he's not as terrible as people think he is, which is an intriguing kind of idea. And I'm getting the impression that he's there for something he didn't do, as opposed to something else that he did do.
Right.
So I'm curious how that's going to work. And the way he's drawn, he looks like a degenerate is the best way to explain it. I don't know how to explain it without offending anyone. So he's got a look to it. Like, that guy is probably a murderer or something.
Yeah, that's for sure.
No offense to murderer-looking folks. It is what it is.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
It's a cartoon. It's a drawing. It's fine. But I think it's a great. It's off to a great start. It is. I was actually expecting it to be more graphic.
Yeah. What was there? One scene of the guy at the mall, and then the two hanging in the barn. I think was it. So, I like the way the mystery played out about kind of who it was, the flashback scenes. I forget what it was, 1970 something or other, and then the flash forwards to 2023. So I like you mentioned about the guy who's in jail now. Are they related to the person somehow that's doing the killing now? Are they the same person who's doing the killing now, who did it in the past, and this person is, like you said, wrongfully convicted? So I like that idea. I really like the mystery of it. I like the setting. I think the book has a lot going for it. Aside from all its gruesomeness, I think the mystery for me is one of the big ones.
Frank says he's tying it out. It seems he only has one story to tell now. I don't know if I would. I don't think I disagree with that, because I do think some of his stuff is very same. But there's always like the Closet, which you and I both adored last year. It was a mystery. There was violence involved, kind of a lot of dialogue. That is the Tynion mold. When I read a Tynion book, I expect heavy dialogue, but at the same time, I really like his dialogue, so I don't mind as much.
Yep.
But there is always some type of dark mystery at hand.
Yeah, that's totally.
Yeah, in a way, it's kind of like pick your poison. What type of mystery do you like? Do you like maybe an alien? Do you like Santa murders?
Sure.
Do you like aliens with the last house on the left? Pick your poison. He's got it. Or Dracula, if you like that too.
Yeah.
And
I think you're right about who Tynan is, and I think I wonder if he's one of those things you either love him or you don't.
I think most people love him, but I do get what Frank is saying. There is and also he puts out so much.
Too. He's got 4 ongoing books, I think, right now.
Yeah.
It's 5. I don't know. He's got 4 or 5 books coming out right now. So it is like he's, every week he's got a book in the comic shop. So I get the idea of being
like
Tynan out. Yeah, he's exactly.
he's everywhere.
Yep.
He says that Santa costume has to be a Halloween costume next year. So creepy. He's wearing a Japanese style mask under the Santa beard. That's another thing. I really like the look of the killer. It's kind of unique.
It's not. Yeah, exactly. It's not just a guy wearing a Santa beard. He's got that pale white, weird, like you're saying, a Japanese style mask underneath. It just adds to the creepiness.
Yeah, it's something I would like if there should be a film. I think that'd look really badass. And I'm sure it would make a lot of people uncomfortable.
That's the idea.
Tiny is great setting up a mystery, keeps you thinking. Yeah, but the thing about mysteries is you have to follow through and make it work, which I think he does for the most part. Yeah. I say that as a guy who likes his Batman, which I'm in the minority of.
You are in the minority, Frank. Yeah, for sure.
Though, thinking about that, I've actually been wanting to go back and reread it because I know I told you this, but I feel like when I did read it, I just looked at it a certain way, so I might go back and do that.
Trying to remember how long his run was. You remember how long it was?
At the time, it was too long for me, but now I don't know. I don't actually think it was that long. Maybe it was like 20 issues, or maybe no, it was less than 20 issues.
Trying to think here. Reading order. Yeah, because like he did, how the Joker War was, I don't know, 12 issues or something.
It was Joker War, Fear State, and I don't remember what the first arc was.
So he started with issue 85.
Oh, the first arc was his name wasn't the Engineer. What was it? The Broker?
Not sure. And then he went to Fear State, which I forget which I said. So yeah, I think you're around right. 20 to 30 issues is all it lasted, and it felt like it lasted a lot longer. Because, and I wonder if you're right. If going back and reading it under a different mindset, it'd be different. I'm not sure I'd like Joker War any more than I did, but I wonder about the in between stuff.
Yeah, especially I would really like to revisit the Scarecrow stuff specifically.
Right. Yeah. Was that the first arc or the?
I think that was the last one.
Oh, leading into Fear State, which is what it would have been. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to maybe check out the Fear State one because I like Scarecrow stuff. There's not a lot of it.
Well, that's the weird thing. Like in general, we like Tynan's other stuff other than Batman. So, did something happen on Batman, or was it our own thoughts and our own hang-ups
bias
that
and
made
whatnot?
Exactly, all that good stuff.
All the good stuff that comes with reading.
And it didn't help for me that 3 Jokers came out around the same time as Joker War. So it's like it was the constant comparing of the 2 stories, which never helps anybody. So
no, it's easier just to look at things and read it as this is what it is and not. Which I'm guilty of myself. I'm always comparing stuff.
Oh yeah, it's yeah.
We all do it.
Everyone does it for sure. So that's what I read. Any other final thoughts on the Deviant before we?
Looking forward to the next one. I thought it was pretty great.
Yeah, for sure.
I am wondering if it's going to get more intense.
Yeah, I don't know how that can be, but
we'll see. I think I'm a heathen at this point. I don't know.
That's right. Chris messaged me. I messaged him saying it made me uncomfortable. Chris messaged after he read it, said, "It's no big deal."
It's nothing. It's just a Sunday afternoon. It's nothing at all. Lord says, I'm kind of over the general circle of popular comic writers. 1 to 3 male writers get popular for a while, end up writing everything, and then the quality of their work dips, and I'm out. I kind of agree with that. That doesn't seem to happen. We have these waves of really popular writers, and they go away.
Mm-hmm.
They are most often very talented, just like sheesh, calm down, everyone. There are other writers, too.
I would agree with that final statement and blow it up to there are other comics, too. It's like, well, there's no good comics right now. There's lots of good comics right now. There's no good writers right now. There's lots of good writers right now. You just have to read some more.
I think that we are at a point in comics where there really is something for everyone. And I'm surprised when, like, if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. That's fine. But I am kind of surprised when people say they can't find anything they like.
Yeah.
It just kind of surprising because there's so much variety. And I think horror comics specifically have made quite a comeback lately.
This year specifically, we've talked about horror comics a ton this year.
I think some of my favorite books this year were horror comics.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just kind of the thing at the moment. And I think that there's just something for everyone. Even if you don't want to read the big two, you got stuff to read.
Absolutely.
Like Lotus Land.
Yeah, so we both read Lotus Land from what's the Darcy. I have to pronounce this person's name. He's a good Canadian boy. Darcy Van Polgeest. They wrote Little Bird, one of my favorite books from a couple years ago. So yeah, Lotus Land came out, and I only read it because of the writer on it. I like sci-fi. It's a sci-fi book. But then pretty much everything from page 1 to the very last page didn't have me interested in anything that came in between those things. I wasn't interested in the main character. I wasn't interested in his main family. I like the look of the world. It's actually futuristic Vancouver, which is kind of a cool idea. I didn't mind the art overall, but in a world like we're just talking about where there is so much to read, if that first issue really doesn't hook me right away or give me a reason to want to read that second issue, I just won't go back to it. And in general, that's a lot of things, even with TV shows. Nothing hooked me or nothing interested me in this first issue that would make me want to, read anymore. Again, I don't think it's a bad issue, but there's something about it just left me kind of disinterested.
I agree. I think that in the first issue, there's some things you got to do with it. One of them is explain what's going on well enough so that the reader is interested in what's happening, and they don't do that. We're told there's some kind of machine, but we don't know what it does.
Yeah.
We don't know what it's for. We don't even understand why the character is doing what he's doing. So
something about his hand or something too. He's got powers or something.
Yeah, then at the end they surprise you. Oh, he's got powers.
That's right.
So yeah, this is not something I will probably read more of. I was left confused, and I did not like the art, which is always a sticking issue for me. If I don't enjoy the art, I'm less likely to read something.
Fair
which
enough.
I know is kind of a weird thing for most people.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that's strange.
Well, I mean, I think sometimes I miss out on good stuff because I just don't like the art.
Yeah, but yeah. Then sometimes you got okay.
Can't get past it.
Sometimes you just can't.
Going back to Tynan for a second, Frank is right about this. Tynan's run was behind the scenes is crazy. They kicked King off the book due to low sales. Tynan's only supposed to go to issue 100, but his run sold so well they kept him on. In addition to that, they made him cut some corners and do some different stuff story-wise to fit in with Future State, which is a lot of the reason why the run is the way it is.
And why Tynan will probably never write for DC or Marvel ever again.
Not on a big character.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lotus Sign, I think, is a no for both of us going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's fine too. No big deal.
Okay. There'll be another number one I'm sure we'll read next week.
That's what I was thinking. There's always another number one.
There's no shortage of new books coming out every week.
Yeah.
If it's something familiar.
Mm-hmm.
I actually wanted to read the new Captain America book that came out a couple weeks back. I haven't got to it yet.
So you got Steve Rogers or
Yeah,
Sam?
Steve. No, it's Steve.
No, yeah.
It's some kind of like origin book, I believe. It's maybe a month old now. I wanted to get to it, but I haven't had time.
You can't get to your Marvel books. There's no time for your Marvel books.
There is no time. There's so much other stuff that I'm reading or watching, like The Mask.
You got to get to Moon Knight before he dies.
Don't put that evil on him. He's not dying.
He is. Haven't you read what the thing is? Mark Spector's going to die.
He's not really going to die. If they kill him, they kill him.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be kind of cool if they did, considering Moon Knight's always only been Mark Spector.
Right.
And it is a title that can be given to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really not that bothered if they do kill Mark. It's fine. That's not like if they kill Bruce and I'm going to lose my shit.
Well, kill Bruce, send him to a different dimension.
That's fine.
Whatever.
He'll be back.
He'll be back. Exactly right.
Did anyone watching Monarch Legacy of Monsters really good? I actually don't like the MonsterVerse stuff at all. Did you get to it yet?
No, not yet. Ian, what's the ratio between monsters and humans? 50-50? 60-40? I'm looking to watch it probably with my son. And if there's no cool monsters doing cool monster things, then he probably won't stick with it.
I'm with him.
Yeah, so I want to watch it though. I like that it's on Apple TV, I think.
Yeah.
So I'll probably get to it.
It probably looks great.
That's what I've noticed in the trailers. For the good side, for Monsters 90 or Human 90.
I'm guessing Human.
Sorry. Yeah, I hope it's not Human 90.
I am out, sir. Count me out, Chief. Well, Chris, how do you not like it? I thought monsters were yeah, like, regular monsters.
Universal.
Universal
monsters.
Yeah, Universal monsters. That's my thing. Kaijus, not so much. Although I do, I love Kong Skull Island. I think that's a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like the idea of Godzilla and stuff, but they're not really in the movies a lot. It's mostly about the humans doing human stuff that I don't care about. I want to see the giant dinosaur thing destroy a city and eat people.
Yep.
If he eats people, I don't know. Ian says it's more of a human story, but only 2 episodes so far.
Sad. Dang it. Don't want no human story.
Have you ever seen the Godzilla film where there's a baby Godzilla? I think its name is Godzuki. No?
No. I have not.
Something. You should pick that one out.
Yeah.
Though, I do want to see that I think it's called -1. The Toho one.
Yeah, what is that?
So,
that's the Asian one, the Japanese one?
Right. They have 2 franchises that are simultaneously running. There's the Toho versions, and then there are the WB versions.
Mm-hmm.
The Toho ones are supposed to be far superior, and they focus more on the monster mayhem, from what I understand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm more inclined to watch than these ones.
Although some monster mayhem.
Yeah, give me the carnage. I like to see the chaos. Eat a building. It's okay.
That's right. It's like Rampage. That's why I love Rampage so much.
Yeah. Well, I don't like it, but
monsters. Yeah. I love Rampage. I had a great time with that movie.
I mean, it's fun, but when The Rock punches the giant alligator and it's over.
Yeah.
Like, what was the point of all the other ones?
Yeah, The Rock can not do lots of things.
There will be more after the second episode. I don't trust you. I think it's Godzilla Jr. I don't know. Is that another one? I've only heard of Godzuki. I think that's what's called.
We're calling it Godzuki. That's
I'm pretty sure that's the name of it. We're gonna have to look that up later. It's kind of cute for a whatever Godzilla, like a giant dinosaur.
For a kaiju, yeah.
I mean, kaijus aren't all bad, I suppose.
No, I don't think so.
I've seen the Matthew Broderick one. I like that. There's like
Yeah,
raptors
I
in
bet
that
you
one.
did. Yeah, that's so strange.
Manila? What is Manila? What do you mean in Manila?
All right. I spent most of my week watching or rewatching The Haunting of Hill House. After we watched The Fall of the House of Usher, I wanted to kind of go back um, and watch some
Oh,
more Flanagan stuff. Um, I remember loving Hill House and thinking it was Flanagan's best thing that he'd ever done. Um, and I'm happy to report that that's exactly true. And that's exactly how I feel now. So I'm going to watch Midnight Mass again because I remember loving Midnight Mass as well. And I want to see
mhm.
how it compares to my love of Hill House. Um, and I think I'll skip over The Haunting of Bly Manor because I think I got a pretty good sense of what that one is and how I feel about it. Um, but yeah, so I'm going to probably watch Midnight Mass probably this week and purge through that. Man, I love Hill House. Chris, you should watch Hill House. I think you've watched a little bit of it. I think that's the one you hadn't seen.
I don't
Um,
remember which one I watched or I started and
yeah,
stopped.
yeah. Hill House is just so good. It's so creepy and so emotional. It's got everything that I love about horror movies, where I'm scared often,
Mhm.
but then I like in we were talking about the killer, how I wasn't invested in the character of the killer and his wife, or girlfriend or whatever. And not that I'm comparing these two, but in Hill House, I'm just constantly invested in the characters. Flanagan is such a good job with his characters. Like even when we were talking about the fall of the House of Usher, like you care about these characters even though they're all assholes. You care about care is a different kind of word. You don't have to care about somebody you like, but just like when they die, you can feel it. You feel their deaths. Um, and Hill House is the same way. Like all of the characters, Luke and Nellie, the twins in the story. As soon as they came on the screen, and as soon as I heard Luke talk as a little boy, like he's a little nerd, he's got these glasses, and the way he talks, and then how his story unfolds and what happens to him. I was actually quite emotional when I was watching the series, more than I was the first time. Um, and it's just the writing is so great, and the acting is so incredible for everyone. Like all of the kids in it. There's 5 kids in the family. I was just totally invested in the characters, and Hill House is so great. From its very scary bent neck lady stuff,
I don't
and
know what that
then
is.
yeah, bent neck lady. Ugh, yeah, nah. And the issue that comes afterwards, which is Storms, which is a really interesting story where it tells 2 stories, one from the past and one from the in the present day, and it's a series of long shots. So we'll have a long shot in the present day, and then one character will walk down a hallway, and then they'll open a door, and it'll be a scene from the past,
Oh,
but
that's
they're
cool.
one like the scene in the present is taking place in um, a funeral home, and the scene in the present is taking day in the funeral home, taking place in the funeral home, and the scene in the past is taking place at the house. So like you in the hallway, it's the funeral home. He opens the door, and it's the house, and you kind of flash back between the two stories that they're trying to tell in that episode. And I love long shots. I've always loved long shots in TV shows and movies, and I think it's used very well in that episode. I think it's called Two Storms. That episode. So Bent Neck Lady, Two Storms are 2 episodes right back to back that are just incredible, all timers. It really make that show for me. So I'm glad I watched Hill House again. I'm glad I love it again. I think I loved it even more this time around. And yeah, like I said, I'm excited to get back into Midnight Mass and kind of compare those 2 of them to see which one I overall like more. I think it'll be Hill House, but Midnight Mass is still incredible.
It is. I love it. Midnight Mass.
Mm-hmm.
That was a
Yeah.
really good show. Cookie says Blind Manor might be her favorite.
Ooh, nice.
Do you not? You just don't like Blind Manor, or
I like Bly Manor a lot. It's a very different ghost story, horror
okay?
story. Like the first 5 issues of Bly Manor, not much happens.
Okay.
And I remember there's a certain episode of Bly Manor that takes place in the past and is quite good. And then by the end of Bly Manor, you realize what kind of story it is. The idea about what a ghost story is that it's a love story. All ghost stories are love stories, where the ghost is not ready to let go. The ghost isn't ready to go away.
Patrick Swayze.
Exactly. The ghost is left behind something, and they want to either protect it or spend more time with it or something like that. So it's very different from a horror ghost story that most people were expecting, but very good. It's got a really nice episode in that one as well, kind of a time bending episode. It's got the character from The Fall of the House of Usher from the Tale of the Beating Heart episode, the black woman with the bald head.
Oh yeah.
She's in Bly Manor as well as a very different character, and her character goes through some different things in Bly Manor as well.
Cool.
So it's good. It's just a little bit of a change of pace from most horror ghost stories for me. Little drawn out, little too slow at moments for me. But acting is great. It's got all of Flanagan's buddies in it, so it's all good.
I'd like to check them out, but I'm knee deep in 6 Feet Under right now.
Yeah, how you doing on that? You watched any more since
I've watched a few more. I don't remember what episode I watched last, but I'm really enjoying that. Once I get maybe past season 1, I'll do something else.
Yeah, I was going to say, give us a season review after season 1, and then take a break for a bit.
Yeah, I think that's going to be needed. But we'll get there.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, did you watch anything else, or you want to talk about anything else before we get out of here?
No, I think that covers most of it. I think it's going to be a light week ahead with Thanksgiving here in the U.S.
Oh yeah, I was going to say it's Black Friday this weekend, so that means it must be.
But it's actually Black Friday is like all week now.
Yeah, it's just Black Friday week.
Yeah, Black Friday week.
New issue of Wonder Woman this week. So I'll get caught up on that. New issue of Dracula this week.
Yes.
Which we'll talk about next week.
Very excited.
Sure. Yeah. New issue of the Devil That Wears My Face as well. Issue number 2.
Excited for that too.
So we can get to that. So we'll have a couple things to talk about next week.
Lots of horror for this week.
Lots of horror. Yeah, lots of horror. A lot of horror.
Release the horror.
All right, Chris, hit us up with some plugs.
Somna. What is Somna?
Somna.
Something. I don't know what that is.
She'll explain it to us. There it is. Oh, it's one of those the books from Devil's Cut.
Okay. Which I don't know where my Devil's Cut is.
This one's from Becky Cloonan. This one's hers.
Oh, nice. Maybe I will read. Well, I need to find. I don't know where my issue of Devil's Cut ended up, but I haven't read it yet, and now it's lost in the cubbies.
It's lost in your stack of books.
It is. I cannot find that. I was looking for it last week. I have no idea where it's at. I think the goblins ate it or something.
It's fucking comic goblins.
Yeah. Either way, you guys can follow me.
Either way,
you guys can follow me on Twitter and at Chris70. I also do a show with my buddies Phil Walsh and Anthony Caruso where we talk all things DC. You can find that at DC Unlimited Pod on Twitter. And as always, I would love it if you would follow this show at G of the Geeks. Emmett is much better with the rest of the plugs, so he'll take over.
You can follow me on the Twitter at Emmet Davis 7, Gathering of the Geeks. It's available on YouTube and wherever you get your fine podcast. Just search for Gathering of the Geeks and you'll find us right there. Thanks to Phil, Cookie, Frank, Zeddy, Eric, Ian, Lauren. Thanks for coming on. We haven't seen you in a little while, Lauren. Thanks so much for checking us out. Ronan the Accuser. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody. We'll be back next Sunday and chatting about all the bullshit we like to talk about. So for Chris, and I'm Emmet, and we gather on Sundays.
Have a great week, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving.